I'm Hank Romero, and this is the segment. Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice has finally been unveiled onto the masses. So... okay, first I need to point out that the purpose of the segment, of this show in general, is to focus on positive things in cinema, in pop culture. So keep that in mind before we go forward. Now, with that being said, it's kind of impossible to avoid Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. It's a huge moment in fandom and a huge moment in popular culture. So let's start with the positive. If you loved Man of Steel, you will love Batman vs. Superman. If you liked Man of Steel, you will like Batman vs. Superman. Positives, positives, positives. Oh, casting. Just like Man of Steel, the casting for the film is phenomenal. Batman, played by Ben Affleck, is great. Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, awesome. The casting is not the issue with the film. Well, except for Jesse Eisenberg as Luthor. But positive, we want to be positive. Okay, that pretty much covers the positive. The movie felt to me like a 13-year-old who had grown up reading comics, had reached that point in their adolescence when they're jaded and they think superheroes suck, and they were given $200 million budget to spew their garbage into the world. In a nutshell, Batman vs. Superman is boring, gloomy, and nihilistic. And besides that, on an aesthetic level, Zack Snyder's just need to have constant slow motion of these iconic shots just gets so overbearing, it loses all meaning. I get the intent is to have these amazing trailer shots, and Zack Snyder's great at making trailers. You know who else is great at making trailers? Michael Bay. Yeah, I just went there. Now, this is not to say that other superhero movies have not used the slow motion epic group shot or something like that to convey awesomeness and heroism, but they do it sparingly and they make it a payoff for the end of the film or some point where the group's getting together and fighting. They don't do it every freaking 5 minutes. Here is something I never thought I would say. I have zero interest in spending time or money to watch the next 2 Justice League movies directed by Zack Snyder. Now, there's still interest in the Wonder Woman movie, the Suicide Squad movie, and the Batman movie coming out of this. Why? Those are different directors, different writers. There's a chance that those films might actually be decent. Unfortunately, they're still going to have the taint of this last film, of the last 2 films. Yes, I said taint. Now, I don't want to spend any more time on talking about the movie than I have to, but there are 3 key topics, 3 key points that I think are important to address as far as people who have been critical of people who have been critical about the movie. The first is that the film is too confusing, which I find kind of funny. The film is jarring at times, disorganized. You feel like this scene should have been at the beginning of the film, or this fight should have taken place before this fight. Confusing? No, I think that's just a sloppy way to say that people don't get it, and that must be the reason they don't like it. I think that the reason that most people don't like it is because they get it. The second thing I hear a lot is the fact that being a diehard superhero fan of the DC universe in general, that you're having this kind of like, you're holding on to it and you're not letting something new and different come in. Here's the thing. There's been plenty of alternate universe, Elseworld stories of Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, the entire DC universe that have been dark and gritty, but they've been well written. They've been engaging. The archetype has been used even in Marvel for Supreme Power, written by J. Michael Straczynski and drawn by Gary Frank, and that's one of my favorite comics of all time. It's not an issue of darkness, it's an issue of quality. And the last critique I hear is that we wanted the film to suck, us being the fans who didn't like Man of Steel. I never want a superhero film of characters that I grew up loving and still love to suck. I had a lot of hope going into this film with the casting of Ben Affleck and Chris Terrio being brought on as the writer. Let's end this with some positive things about the DC universe. And the fact that we have the upcoming DC Rebirth company-wide event looks awesome. Jeff Johns is spearheading this event. We got Greg Rucka already being announced as being back on Wonder Woman, which is one of my favorite runs on the entire Wonder Woman series. There's also the amazing backlog of animated series, Superman Adventures, Batman Adventures, and my personal favorite, Justice League Unlimited, little up there. Even with Daredevil, even with some of the shows that have been coming out of Netflix, Justice League Unlimited is still my favorite television show involving superheroes. It's amazing. It's on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's just the shit. And of course, there's the live action Flash, Arrow, and Supergirl. They're not the most amazing shows in the world, but they are fun, and they do have a sense of hope and heroism, something greatly lacking in Superman vs. Batman. Speaking of heroism, if you want to see a movie that gives you a sense of like chills at the end and a sense of like hope and heroism, go see 10 Cloverfield Lane. The last 30 seconds of that film left me feeling an honest-to-God chill more so than any sequence in the entire film of Batman vs. Superman. Don't forget to follow the segment on Google+, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Also, if you like what you see here, please subscribe. Every subscriber means a huge deal. We're still a little tiny baby show, but we want to grow up into a bigger baby show. Bigger baby show? How does that work? I don't know. Until next time, I'm Hank Romero, and this is The Segment.